Hey everyone, welcome back. Great to have you here with us again. So today, Emily and I are going to talk about something that comes up all the time in English conversations. It's actually three little phrases that sound super simple, but they can be a bit tricky when you're trying to use them naturally. We're talking about get up, get out, and get back. And I know what you're thinking. Those are easy words, right? Get, up, out, back. But the thing is, native speakers use these in so many different situations, and the meaning changes depending on the context. So we want to walk you through real examples, the kind of stuff you'd actually say in everyday life. No complicated grammar terms, just real talk about how these phrases work. Sound good, Emily?
Yeah, absolutely. And Joe, you're right that these seem simple at first, but they're actually really versatile. Like, get up doesn't just mean getting out of bed, although that's definitely one meaning. And get out isn't just about leaving a room. And get back, well, that one has even more uses. So I think what makes these tricky is that they're so common that native speakers use them almost automatically. But for learners, it can be confusing to know which one to use when. The good news is that once you understand the main ideas behind each one, they start to feel natural. And we're going to give you tons of examples from real life so you can hear how they sound in different situations.
Perfect. So let's start with get up, because I think that's probably the most straightforward one to begin with. The most common meaning is literally getting up from a lying or sitting position. Like when your alarm goes off in the morning, what do? You get up. You get out of bed. So if someone asks you, what time do you get up in the morning? They're asking what time you wake up and get out of bed. For me, I usually get up around 6:30 on weekdays. What about you, Emily? When do you get up?
I'm more of a 7 o'clock person, honestly. I'm not a morning person at all, so getting up is always hard for me. But yeah, that's the basic use, getting up from bed. And it's not just about mornings, though. You can use get up anytime you're moving from a lower position to a higher one. Like if you're sitting on the couch watching TV and someone knocks on the door, you have to get up to answer it. Or if you're working at your desk and you need to stretch, you might get up and walk around for a minute. So it's really about that movement from sitting or lying to standing. That's the core idea.
Exactly. And here's another way people use get up, to talk about standing after a fall. Like if a kid falls down while playing, you might say, come on, get up, you're okay. Or if you trip on the sidewalk, you get up and dust yourself off. It's that same movement from being down to being up. And actually, we even use it in expressions. Like if someone's feeling discouraged or defeated, you might tell them to get up and try again, meaning don't give up, keep going, stand back up metaphorically. So it can be literal or it can be more figurative like that. Right, and that metaphorical use is interesting because it shows up a lot in motivational contexts. Like, you'll hear people say things like, every time life knocks you down, you have to get up stronger. That's not about physically standing up, it's about recovering from difficulties. But the image is the same, You've been knocked down, now you get back up. It's a really common metaphor in English. And I think that's cool because once you understand the basic physical meaning, the metaphorical meanings start to make sense too. It's all connected. Yeah, totally. Okay, so that's get up. Now let's move on to get out, which has a bunch of different uses. The most basic one is leaving a space or a place. Like if you're in a car and you arrive at your destination, you get out of the car. Or if you're in a building and there's a fire alarm, you need to get out quickly. So it's about exiting, leaving an enclosed space. Emily, can you think of a time you use get out in your daily life?
Oh, all the time. Like when I get home from work, I get out of my car and walk to my house. Or if I'm in a taxi, I pay the driver and then get out. Or even simpler, if I'm sitting in a meeting that's really boring and it finally ends, I'm thinking, thank goodness I can finally get out of here. So yeah, it's about leaving a space. But it's also interesting because we use it with different prepositions. You get out of a car, a building, a room. But sometimes you just say get out without specifying where you're leaving from. Like if someone's in your house and you're angry at them, you might yell, "Get out!" Just those two words.
Yeah, that's a good point. Get out can definitely be a command when you want someone to leave. And it can sound pretty strong depending on your tone. Like if you say it calmly, it's just a request. But if you yell it, it's aggressive. Context and tone matter a lot with these phrases. But let's talk about some other meanings of get out, because there are quite a few. One that comes up a lot is about escaping a situation or a responsibility. Like if you have plans to meet a friend but you don't really want to go, you might try to get out of it. That means you're trying to cancel or avoid it. So you could say, "I'm trying to get out of this dinner tonight because I'm too tired."
Oh, yeah, I do that sometimes. Like, I need to get out of this commitment. Or with work stuff, you might say, "I'm trying to get out of this meeting." It means you don't want to do it and you're looking for a way to avoid it. And we also use get out when talking about information becoming known. Like if you have a secret and you don't want people to know about it, you might worry that it'll get out. The secret gets out, meaning other people find out about it. So you could say, "I hope this news doesn't get out before we're ready to announce it." That's a completely different meaning from leaving a physical space, but it's the same phrase.
Right, and that's what makes these phrases so interesting. They have multiple meanings that you have to figure out from context. Another use of get out is about going outside for leisure or socializing. Like if you've been stuck at home for days, you might say, "I really need to get out and do something." Or if someone's been working too hard, you might tell them, "You should get out more, have some fun." It's about leaving your house or your routine to experience something different. It doesn't necessarily mean leaving a specific room. It's more about leaving your normal environment.
Yeah, and that use is really common. Like, "Let's get out of the house this weekend and go hiking." Or, "I haven't gotten out much lately because I've been so busy." It's about breaking free from being stuck in one place. And actually, there's another really common use that we haven't mentioned yet: getting something out of a container or a space. Like if you're cooking and you need butter, you get it out of the fridge. Or if you're looking for a book, you get it out of your bag. So get out can be about removing something from where it is. Does that make sense?
Yeah, perfect sense. Like, "I need to get my keys out of my pocket." Or, "Can you get the milk out of the fridge?" It's about taking something from inside to outside, basically. And we even use it with more abstract things. Like, "I can't get this song out of my head," meaning the song is stuck in your mind and you can't stop thinking about it. Or, "I need to get these thoughts out," meaning you need to express them. So again, it's the idea of something being inside and moving to the outside, but it can be physical or mental.
Exactly. And I think that's a good overview of get out. It's really versatile. Now let's move on to get back, which might be the most complicated of the three because it has so many uses. The most basic one is returning to a place. Like if you go to the store, you get back home afterward. Or if you go on vacation, you get back after a week. So it's about returning to where you started. Joe, when did you last go somewhere and get back?
Oh, just yesterday, actually. I went to the gym in the morning and I got back home around 9. So yeah, get back is about returning, and we use it all the time for this. Like, "What time will you get back?" Or, "I'll get back in an hour." It's super common. But get back also means retrieving something that was yours. Like if you lend someone a book, you want to get it back eventually. Or if someone steals your phone, you try to get it back. So it's about something returning to you, not just you returning to a place.
Right. And that's an important distinction. You can get back to a place, or you can get something back from someone. Both are about returning, but one is about movement and the other's about possession. And here's another really common use: getting back to an activity or a topic. Like if you're having a conversation and you get distracted, you might say, "Anyway, getting back to what we were talking about," that means returning to the previous topic. Or at work, if you took a break, you might say, "Okay, let me get back to work." You're resuming what you were doing before.
Yeah, that's huge. We say get back to something all the time. Like, I need to get back to my studies. Or let's get back to the main point here. It's about resuming or returning to an activity or focus. And actually, there's another really common use that's more social: getting back to someone, meaning you'll contact them later. Like if someone calls you but you're busy, you might say, "I can't talk right now, but I'll get back to you later." That means you'll call them back or respond to their message when you have time.
Oh yeah, that's so common in professional settings, especially. Like, "Thanks for your email. I'll get back to you by tomorrow." Or, "Can you get back to me when you have the information?" It's about responding or following up. And it's really useful because it's a polite way to say you can't deal with something right now, but you will later. Now, there's also a more emotional use of get back, like when you're talking about relationships. If a couple breaks up and then they start dating again, they get back together. So you could say, "Did you hear? Sarah and Mike got back together." Right. And in that context, get back is about restoring a previous state or relationship. And actually, there's even a phrase, get back at someone, which means to take revenge. Like if someone does something mean to you, you might want to get back at them by doing something mean in return. So you could say, "He's just trying to get back at her for what she said." That's a totally different meaning from returning to a place, but it's the same phrase. Context is everything. Absolutely. And let's not forget get back in the sense of recovering something you lost, like your health or your confidence. You might say, "I'm trying to get back in shape after being sick," or "She's working hard to get back her confidence after that failure." So it's about recovering or regaining something. And honestly, all these different meanings can seem overwhelming, but the core idea is always about returning or restoring in some way. Whether it's a place, an object, an activity, a relationship, or a state of being, it's all about going back to something.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. And I think the key with all three of these phrases is to pay attention to context. When you hear native speakers use them, notice what situation they're in. Are they talking about physical movement? Are they talking about emotions or relationships? Are they being literal or figurative? Once you start noticing these patterns, you'll get a feel for when to use each one. And honestly, the best way to learn is just to practice using them yourself in real situations.
Exactly. And let's do some more examples to really drive this home. Let's start with get up again. Imagine you're at a friend's house and you've been sitting on the floor playing board games. Your legs are getting stiff, so you say, "I need to get up and stretch." That's literal physical movement. Or imagine you're watching a motivational video and the speaker says, "Every champion has to get up after being knocked down." That's figurative. It's about resilience and perseverance. Same phrase, different context, different meanings.
Good examples. Now let's do get out. Imagine you're in a movie theater and the film just ended. You say to your friend, "Let's get out of here, it's getting crowded." That's about leaving a place. Or imagine you have a dental appointment tomorrow and you really don't want to go. You say, "I wish I could get out of this appointment." That's about avoiding a commitment. Or imagine you're a journalist and you have information about a scandal. You say, "We need to make sure this story gets out to the public." That's about information being released. 3 completely different situations, same phrase. Perfect. And now get back. Imagine you went to the grocery store and your roommate texts you asking when you'll be home. You reply, "I'll get back in about 20 minutes." That's about returning to a place. Or imagine you borrowed your friend's laptop and they need it for work. They say, "Hey, can I get my laptop back?" That's about returning an object. Or imagine you're in a meeting and someone keeps going off topic. You say, "Can we get back to the main agenda?" That's about returning to a topic. Or imagine your coworker sent you an email with a question. You reply, "I'm in meetings all day, but I'll get back to you tonight." That's about responding later. Those are all perfect. And you know what's interesting? Sometimes these phrases can combine or overlap. Like you could say, "I got up, got out of bed, and got back to my morning routine." You're using all three in one sentence, and they all make sense because they're describing a sequence of actions. Or you could say, "I need to get out more, get back in touch with old friends, and get up the courage to try new things." Again, all three phrases, all working together naturally.
Yeah, and that shows how fluid and natural these phrases are in English. They're not rigid or formal, they're part of everyday speech. And I think that's why it's so important to hear them in context rather than just memorizing definitions. When you hear them used naturally, you start to develop an intuition for when to use them. It's like learning to cook. You can read a recipe, but until you actually practice and taste and adjust, you don't really understand it. That's a great analogy. And speaking of practice, let's think about some common mistakes that learners make with these phrases. One mistake I've heard is people saying "get up" when they mean "wake up," like "what time do you get up" versus "what time do you wake up." Now, these are often used interchangeably, but technically, waking up is when you stop sleeping, and getting up is when you leave the bed. So you might wake up at 6, but not get up until 6:30 because you're lying in bed checking your phone. Does that make sense? Yeah, that's a good distinction. Although, honestly, most native speakers use them pretty interchangeably in casual conversation. Like, if someone asks, "What time did you get up?" they usually mean, "What time did you wake up?" But you're right that there's a subtle difference. Another mistake I've heard is with "get out." Sometimes learners forget the preposition of, so they might say, "I got out the car" instead of "I got out of the car." That preposition is important. You get out of a space, not just get out it.
Right, good catch. And with "get back," a common mistake is using it when you should use "come back" or "go back." These are related but slightly different. Get back is more informal and emphasizes the arrival or the completion of the return. Come back and go back are more about the direction of movement. Like if you're talking to someone who's at home and you're away, you'd say, "I'll come back soon," because you're moving toward them. But you could also say, "I'll get back soon," which is more casual and focuses on when you'll arrive. It's subtle.
Yeah, that's subtle but good to know. And I think with all of these phrases, the key is exposure and practice. The more you hear them and use them, the more natural they become. So I'd encourage everyone listening to pay attention when you watch English movies or TV shows or listen to podcasts. Notice when people say "get up," "get out," or "get back," and think about what meaning they're using. Is it literal or figurative? Is it about movement, emotion, information, or something else? Absolutely. And try using them yourself in your daily life. Even if you're just thinking in English, practice making sentences with these phrases. Like when you leave work, think to yourself, "I'm getting out of the office." When you arrive home, think, "I got back home at 6." When you wake up in the morning, think, "I got up at 7 today." The more you use them, the more automatic they become. And don't be afraid to make mistakes. That's part of the learning process. Exactly. And, let's talk about some idiomatic expressions that use these phrases, because there are quite a few. With "get up," there's "get up on the wrong side of the bed," which means you're in a bad mood when you wake up. Like, "What's wrong with you today? Did you get up on the wrong side of the bed?" It's a way of asking why someone's grumpy. And there's also get up the nerve or get up the courage, which means to find the bravery to do something. Like, I finally got up the nerve to ask for a raise. Good ones. And with get out, there's get out of hand, which means a situation is becoming uncontrollable. Like, this party is getting out of hand, maybe we should leave. Or there's get out of my face, which is a rude way of telling someone to leave you alone. And there's get out while you can, which is advice to leave a situation before it gets worse. Like, this company is going downhill, you should get out while you can. These are all common expressions that native speakers use. And with get back, there's get back on your feet, which means to recover from a difficult situation, usually financially or health-wise. Like, after losing his job, it took him a year to get back on his feet. And there's get back in the saddle, which means to resume an activity after a break or setback. Like, after her injury, she's eager to get back in the saddle and start training again. These are more metaphorical, but they're really common. Yeah, and all of these idioms are built on the basic meanings we've been talking about. Get back on your feet is about standing up again, which connects to the idea of recovery. Get back in the saddle is about returning to an activity, which is that return meaning we talked about. So even the idioms make sense once you understand the core concepts. It's all connected.
Exactly. And I think that's the beauty of these simple phrases. They're so versatile and they appear everywhere in English, from literal physical actions to abstract concepts and emotions. These three phrases cover so much ground. And once you really understand them, you'll find yourself using them all the time. They make your English sound more natural and fluent because they're what native speakers actually say in everyday situations.
Yeah, totally. And let me just give a few more real-life scenarios to really cement this. Imagine you're sick with the flu and you've been in bed for 2 days. Your friend texts you asking how you are. You reply, "I'm feeling a bit better. I actually got up and walked around a bit today." That's get up in the context of recovering from illness. Or imagine you're working from home and you've been at your desk for hours. You think to yourself, "I should get up and make some coffee." That's get up for a simple break.
Good scenarios. Now imagine you're at a restaurant and the service is terrible. You say to your dining companion, "Let's just get out of here and find somewhere else." That's get out, meaning to leave a place. Or imagine you agreed to volunteer for an event this weekend, but now you're having second thoughts. You say, "I'm trying to think of a way to get out of volunteering on Saturday." That's get out, meaning to avoid a commitment. Or imagine you're a teacher and you want your students to go outside. You say, "It's a beautiful day, everyone. Get out and enjoy the sunshine." That's get out as a command to leave.
Perfect. And for get back, imagine you went on a business trip for a week. Your colleague asks when you'll be in the office. You say, "I get back on Friday, so I'll be in the office on Monday." That's get back, meaning to return. Or imagine you lent money to a friend months ago and they still haven't paid you. You're getting frustrated and you say, "I really need to get my money back soon." That's get back, meaning to retrieve something. Or imagine you're studying for an exam but you keep getting distracted by your phone. You tell yourself, "Focus, get back to studying." That's get back, meaning to return to an activity.
These are all so relatable, and I think that's the key. These aren't abstract grammar concepts. They're things you'd actually say in real life, and the more you connect them to your own experiences, the easier they are to remember. Like, think about your own life right now. When was the last time you got up? When was the last time you got out of somewhere? When was the last time you got back to something? Personalizing the learning makes it stick.
Absolutely. And here's a fun exercise you can do. Try to tell the story of your day using these three phrases, like, "I got up at 7, got out of bed, got out of my apartment at 8, got back home at 6, and then got back to relaxing." Obviously, that's a simplified version, but you get the idea. The more you practice weaving these phrases into your own narratives, the more natural they become, and you start to notice opportunities to use them that you might not have seen before.
That's a great exercise. And I think we should also mention that these phrases can have slightly different feels depending on the region or the context. Like in American English, we say get out of the car, but in British English, you might hear get out of the motor car or just get out. The core meaning is the same, but there might be slight variations in usage. And in informal speech, people might shorten or combine these phrases, like gotta get up instead of have to get up, or getting out of here instead of getting out of here.
Yeah, that's a good point. English is full of these casual contractions and shortenings, especially in spoken language. And get is one of those verbs that appears in tons of phrasal verbs and casual expressions. So get up, get out, and get back are just the tip of the iceberg. There's also get in, get off, get on, get over, get through, and so many more. But we're focusing on these three today because they're so common and so useful. Right, and I think we've given everyone a really solid foundation for understanding and using these three phrases. Let's do a quick recap. Get up is mainly about moving from a lower position to a higher one, literally or figuratively. It's getting out of bed, standing up after sitting, or recovering after a setback. Get out is about leaving a space, avoiding something, or having information released. It's exiting a building, escaping a commitment, or removing something from a container. And get back is about returning to a place, to an activity, to a state, or retrieving something. It's coming home, resuming work, responding to someone, or regaining what was lost.
Perfect summary. And remember, all of these can be literal or figurative, physical or abstract. The key is context. Pay attention to how they're used. Practice using them yourself, and don't worry about making mistakes. That's how you learn. And honestly, if you master these three phrases, you'll sound so much more natural in English because they're everywhere. You'll hear them in conversations, in movies, in songs, in books. They're fundamental to how English speakers communicate.
Exactly. And I want to encourage everyone to keep practicing and stay curious. When you hear a new use of these phrases that we didn't cover today, make a note of it. Think about what it means in that context. Try using it yourself. Language learning is an ongoing process, and there's always something new to discover. But with these foundations, you're in a really good place to keep building your skills. Well said, Emily. All right, I think that's a good place to wrap up. We've covered get up, get out, and get back from pretty much every angle we could think of. We've talked about literal and figurative meanings, given tons of examples, discussed common mistakes, shared some idioms, and given you practical tips for practice. Hopefully, this has been helpful and you feel more confident about using these phrases. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time. Thanks, everyone. Keep practicing, keep learning, and don't forget, get up every day with motivation, get out of your comfort zone, and get back to your English studies regularly. See what I did there? All right, see you soon.